Hi, I'm Griffin, like the monster, and I love to read. Almost everything, but especially science fiction and historical fiction and real history and real science. And I love comic books, and I love books that are difficult to read. I'll try almost anything. And if I get a chance, I'll talk to you about my favorite book. Hey y'all, you ever had one of those days you just wish you could go back and start everything all over and have no personality and start from zero again? Me too. But you can't always do that. However, in Gordon Korman's book, Restart, the main character does lose everything and start all over again. Chase wakes up in the hospital and remembers nothing. The problem is that some people are very, very angry with him. Some people are frightened of him. Some people think he's a hero, and at least one girl in particular is willing to spill yogurt on his head out of revenge. Chase has no idea why. He has to figure out who he is, who he was, and who he wants to be. Have you ever heard of Mount Everest? It's the highest mountain in the world, well over 29,000 feet. Many people have climbed Mount Everest, and not all of them made it back down. In fact, Sir Hilary's body was just recently found near the peak. 14 Sherpas died there just a few weeks ago. Peak Marcello, of the book Peak by Roland Smith, is going to have to climb Mount Everest. At first, he loves climbing. He climbs skyscrapers in New York City, for which he gets arrested. Then he has to choose, do I want to go to juvenile detention, or do I need to go live with my dad? He chooses his father, who lives in Thailand and has his own climbing company. And when Peak arrives at his father's house, his father begins to try to convince him to climb the most dangerous mountain in the world, Mount Everest. Peak's not sure why his dad wants him to do it, and he has to decide if it's the right thing or not, and then he has to climb Mount Everest.
Hi y'all, I'm Rachel. In addition to working here at Book People, I'm a student of medieval literature, like King Arthur, and I also teach literature. I love reading just about everything, but I especially love reading comics, superhero comics, and otherwise. I also read fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, pretty much anything that has a genre, I'm there. The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley is a wonderful story set in England against the backdrop of World War II. Ada, a girl born with a clubfoot, has been kept in her one-room apartment her entire life by her mother, who is embarrassed by her. When all of the children are evacuated from London because of the Blitz, this is what happened to the kids in the Narnia stories. She manages to escape with her brother Jamie and ends up staying with a woman named Susan Smith. Susan very much admits, I'm no good with kids, but it turns out that Susan is exactly the kind of guardian that Ada needs. While Ada is in the country, she learns how to ride, she tracks down Nazi spies, it's awesome, and she learns a lot about having confidence in yourself to demand respect from other people.
My name is Percy Jackson, and I'm here to talk about books. I'm not Percy Jackson. Hi y'all, I'm Thomas. I work here at Book People. Yes, I do also work at Camp Half-Blood. I absolutely love books. I grew up in this store. I was actually here before this store was built. I remember playing in this store when it was being constructed. Also, fun book fact, I am one of the first people in the US to read Harry Potter. I got a copy of it before it was ever published in this country. So, I love fantasy, I love sci-fi, I love the weird stuff. Like, I'm that guy, you know, that guy's like, hey, what's like the weirdest book you've ever read? I'm that guy. I'm the weirdest book you've ever read. Ghost is very, hold on, I'm counting, very good. That was 7, right? Because it's 7 varies. It's that good. Castle Crenshaw is a runner. He and his mom have been running since he was a kid. They ran away from his dad when his dad pulled a gun and was shooting at them in their home. And he has been running his whole life. When his friends get mixed up with the middle school track team, which could lead towards the Junior Olympics, he's like, no, I play basketball. I don't need any of that. But it turns out that Ghost, which is his nickname, is faster than the fastest kid on the track team. He outruns the track star, and so everybody says, you have to run track with us. And so Ghost finds that running away from things, that running without a goal, leaves you kind of wondering what to do. He's been kind of lost his whole life. But Ghost is about him finding a way to run towards something, to run with purpose. And it's really, he kind of makes a bunch of friends. It is heartwarming, it's brutal, and it's like the best story of a young man finding his place in the world when he has nothing to start with. If you like Ghost, if you've read Ghost, there are 3 more in the series. The box set has all 4. It's really, really good. I cannot recommend Ghost enough, y'all. Seriously.
Some of my favorite stories are stories about princes learning how to be kings, and this one in particular is extremely good. I'm a big fan of comic books, and especially Marvel comic books, and being able to read about T'Challa as a young king, learning, what it means to be a king, what it means to be a superhero, and how sometimes those things are in conflict was really good. Rise of the Black Panther is written by Evan Narcisse. He's an Austinite. Paul Reynolds is one of the artists, as well as Javier Pina. Both artists do a really good job of capturing detail, interest. The colors really bring to life Wakanda very much in a similar way the movie did. It's so bright, it's so vivid. Let me just turn to a page to show you. This also appeals to anybody who's a fan of Marvel. There are a lot of really good cameos in this. Captain America, Winter Soldier, and even one of my favorites, Namor.
If you could kill any one person, who would you kill? And no, your teachers don't count. So the answer in this book is death. People have killed death. People don't have to die anymore. Well, okay, people don't die anymore, but people still have to die. Otherwise we have overpopulation, we lose out on resources, that kind of thing. So the only people who can kill people are scythes. They're death, essentially. And this is about Citra and Rowan, who are 2 teenagers who become apprentice scythes. They're junior deaths. They're baby deaths, if you will. And they get drawn into the world of being a scythe, which is supposed to be an honorable calling, a natural part of life, and they find out there's a dark kind of corruption at the heart of being a scythe. There's a conspiracy going on. People are making money off of being death. And Citra and Rowan not only have to dig into this, but they have to dig in to the death, actual death, the gleaning, which is what they call it in the book, of their master, because he gets killed by another scythe. They have to figure out who that is, what the conspiracy is. This is dark, this is creepy, this is all about things dying, but death not being necessarily as bad as you think it is. So yeah, Scythe, absolutely great. It has a sequel, Thunderhead, which is about the crazy computer that runs death. Yeah, it gets wild, y'all. Come on in and pick up Scythe. Like, it's great. It's fantastic.
You know what? You can't trust fairies. They don't necessarily like people very much. That's what Jude finds out in Holly Black's Cruel Prince. When Jude is 7 years old, she is kidnapped after her parents are murdered, and she is raised in the land of fairy. By the time she's 17, she's decided she wants to be part of that community. She likes fairy and wishes that they would accept her. But fairy is just as prejudiced as our world, and many people do not like her, most importantly including Prince Cardan. She has to decide whether or not she's going to stay part of fairy, and also how she's going to convince Prince Cardan to be on her side, and then save fairyland itself.
Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzi Lee is an incredible adventure romance story. Our main character is Lord Henry Montague, but don't worry, you can call him Monty, going on a tour of Europe at age 18 to carouse and have fun and party and basically have no responsibilities whatsoever. He brings along his best friend Percy, someone who's not quite so well off as he is, and they're ready to have the time of their lives when Monty's younger sister, Felicity, hijacks their trip and comes along. They run into snafu after snafu, including hijackings and pirates and wounds and duels and all kinds of things. But don't worry, it ends up happy, wonderful love story, and it's pretty good they brought Felicity along because she's the only one who has any reason among the 3 of them. Which is great because the next book is Felicity's book. This one is so good, you guys. I love this because Felicity sounds like a 16-year-old girl. I feel like I'm reading someone's diaries from the 1800s. She's determined to become a surgeon, but no school will take her because she's a woman, so she has to go with the only people who will help her. The pirates from the previous book. She learns a whole bunch about herself. She's smart, clever, and resourceful. And she's also someone who is not maybe in touch with her emotions or other people's emotions. And it's really cool to watch her learn how to connect with other people.
So, life sucks. The economy's in the toilet. The world's been stripped for its natural resources. And the environment has been destroyed. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about real world, not a book. Ooh. No, so that's also the plot of Ready Player One. It's set in the future where everything that I've talked about has happened, and anybody who can afford to lives inside a virtual reality game called the Oasis. The Oasis has everything. It has Star Wars, it has Star Trek, it has Lord of the Rings. Anything you can think of, it's in the Oasis. And the guy who created the Oasis has died, and he's hid his fortune, and he's hid control of the game as an Easter egg in the game. Whoever finds it first gets everything. And there's an evil corporation trying to get everything. So, when a teenage boy in Oklahoma, in his trailer park, finds the first clue, everything snowballs from there. It's an epic quest to stop corporate greed, to save what's left of the world. It's also chock full of 80s references, music, movies, cartoons, everything. So if you're a little younger, if you don't know the 80s, it's time to brush up on your history, kids, because this is the good stuff. Peace.
So someone I think who is one of the biggest rock stars in teen fiction today is Angie Thomas. You might have heard of her from The Hate U Give, which they made a blockbuster movie over. An incredible story about a girl star dealing with police brutality in her community. But what I really want to talk to you about is her new one, On the Come Up. Bree, our main character, is a talented 16-year-old rapper, and she ends up writing this rap in response to an incident that happened at her school with the security guards. It becomes super popular, viral, and everything. And she's really conflicted because it's all about, it's about her and her personal experience, but also it speaks to a lot of people. One thing about On the Come Up that I really like is that Bree is very much a 16-year-old girl. She cares about her friends and family deeply. She makes mistakes like 16-year-old girls do. But she's also in this situation of being poor, talented, and black, and is being manipulated and exploited by media, by people who want to produce her music, steal her music. And she really has to navigate what the world is like when she's this talented. Angie Thomas's writing is incredible, and I really think that On the Come Up kind of takes it a step up. You can see how, much like with good rap songs, it feels effortless, but you can tell how much hard work has been behind all of the writing. Now, Thomas, have you actually ever read Chaos Walking?
Absolutely not.
What? What? The first one, Knife of Never Letting Go. This trilogy is incredible. Okay, so picture this. You're on a spaceship, right? You land on a planet that has a plague that kills all the women. You are the last child born, so the youngest person in the community, and you're 13 years old. Yeah, I know, but just wait.
All right.
And the plague, the way it affects men, means they hear the thoughts of anything living. But that also means he can hear the voice of, his dog. Hey, Todd, can we go play, Todd? Todd, can we play?
Let me guess, it asks to go poop a lot.
Yeah, need a poo, Todd. And he can even hear, the plants and stuff. It's whispering, it's not words, because they're not as intelligent,
okay.
but it's whispering. So Todd's walking along outside their compound when he hears something he's never heard before. Silence.
Alright.
Can you guess what he finds when he goes to investigate?
Everything's dead.
Mm-mm.
A
girl.
Yeah.
He meets Viola, and he starts to realize that the community he lives in is not exactly what it seems to be.
Okay, so I love secret conspiracy books. You're telling me this is a secret conspiracy book?
Secret conspiracy book. Sci-fi.
In.
Talking dogs.
In. Well, maybe not poo dogs.
All dogs are kind of poo dogs, but all dogs are good dogs.
That's true. All right.
And the trilogy is perhaps one of the best fictional representations I've ever seen of the way that people accidentally, unintentionally internalize misogyny.
In.